Hi everyone, this is Denise Collazo. I'm the author of Thriving in the Fight, a survival manual for Latinas on the front lines of change. When I was a little girl, I used to watch boxing with my dad. I grew up watching Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali. I remember one time when I was talking to my dad, I asked him, "Why are you rooting for this guy over that guy?" He looked almost like he was looking through me. And he said, "Denise, you always root for the underdog." And I didn't understand that as a child, but as I grew up, I realized that my dad was talking about us. He was talking about him and my grandmother. My grandmother loaded my dad and his 5 other siblings onto a diesel boat from Puerto Rico to New York City in the mid-1940s. So my dad was one of the very first Puerto Ricans coming to New York from the island. And I'm writing the book Thriving in the Fight for Change because about 50 years after my abuela Lela, my grandmother Lela, made that really impossible decision to leave everything she knew and move her entire family to a new place for a better life, 50 years later, I found myself in the green, leafy brick building, white columns surrounding Harvard Yard. And I was graduating. A kid like me from Castroville, California, whose dad was born in a little shack with dirt floors, was able to not only get accepted to Harvard, but graduate. And I realized that day that I was standing on the shoulders of my tiny little abuela who had made that impossible choice. When I was at Harvard, I got a taste and I got to see what real wealth looks like. And it looked very different than what I had known and what I had been taught about who my people were. So I'm writing this book because I have spent pretty much every day since that graduation from Harvard fighting in the streets with people like my dad, my abuela Lela, and probably your dad and your grandparents. And I've been a community organizer. I'm writing the book because I want to encourage other people who are Latinas and women of color who are in the fight for social justice. I've been fighting for social, economic, political, and racial justice my entire life, my entire career. And it has not been easy. It's a terribly difficult challenge, but it also gets me to be in relationship with some of the most beautiful people in the world who have an incredible wisdom and brilliance. So the book has 3 simple keys. 3 simple keys to thriving in the fight. First of all, lead into your vision, live into your fullest self, and love past the negatives that hold you back. So I'll start with lead. You gotta lead into your vision. If you've got a vision for something, lead into it because no one else has your vision and no one else will make it happen for you. Secondly, live into your fullest self. I know, I've seen how you show up when you're comfortable and confident in your own self. You show up with hoop earrings and lipstick and eyebrows on fleek, and you are comfortable and clear in your power. But sometimes when we as Latinas and other women of color show up in places that were not built for us, we show up as a smaller version of ourselves. And I'm really encouraging us to live into our fullest self, our fullest amazingness. And the third key is to love past the negatives that hold you back. As Latinas, we've been taught to serve humbly behind the scenes without really any expectation of recognition. But there's a lot of negatives that have been told to us. Things that we've been told to we've told ourselves. There's things that others have told us. There's terrible situations that we're in, like the situation we have with COVID-19, where our mothers and fathers are risking their lives every day to keep food on all of our table. Despite those negatives, love. So those are the 3 keys to thriving in the fight. On the other hand are the 3 signs that you might be surrendering in the fight. And we need you. The reason I wrote this book is because we need everyone. We need all of your brilliance and all of our collective wisdom in order to change things and make the world a better place. So you can kind of tell if you're surrendering when you lean back, you're not bringing your best self to engaging the systems that are putting our people in jeopardy. The way you know when you're surrendering is when you find yourself wishing, wondering, and waiting. You wish that there was a different reality that looked different than the one you see today. But you don't really know how to get there, and you just wish for it. And an amazing leader I know named Felicia Johnson Yoda, she said to me, Denise, hope is not a strategy. And it's true. So when you just wish for something, it's not enough. We need you to go after it. When you're surrendering, or you know someone who's surrendering, it often looks like you're wondering where your limits are. So I applied for a very big national position. I thought I was, of course I thought I was the best candidate. I prepared myself. I wrestled with my doubt about whether or not I should apply. And then in the end, I didn't get the job. But what I did get was I got a sense of where my limits were. And so you don't ever want to wonder where your limits are. You want to stretch yourself to and beyond your limits and do the most amazing work you can. And finally, surrender looks like waiting for answers and advice to come from other people and not trusting your own wisdom. So 3 keys to thriving, 3 signs to know whether or not you're surrendering. We need you in the fight. We need your fullest self. I encourage you to thrive in the fight. Another little story about my dad was when I was young, he told me, Denise, if you ever get called out by a girl in school to fight, just punch her right there. Don't wait until her sisters and cousins and Theos are in that after school area where you could actually really get a good beating. Thankfully, I never had to use that advice from my dad, but one thing I was always taught is never surrender. And so, hermana, I'm encouraging you to stay in the fight. Don't just stay, don't just win, but thrive. And take the advice from civil rights leader and theologian, Dr. Howard Thurman, who said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because the world needs people who have come alive.